Welcome to the weekend edition of the Fast 5 Business News by Fear and Greed. I'm Michael Thompson, and hello, Adam Lang.
Good morning, Michael.
Adam, on weekdays, it's all about the Fast 5, the top 5 business stories in 5 minutes. On the weekend, we still keep it to 5 minutes, but we're going to pick out the biggest business story of the week, the most remarkable business story, a sleeper story, one that's flying under the radar a little bit, and then our favourite story. Let's jump straight into it. What was the biggest business story this week?
Michael, my biggest story is the cost of living, or as the social media machinery likes to call it, Cozzy Lives. And the data was coming at us from left, right and centre to make the cost of living the biggest story of the week. The Australian Bureau of Statistics announced the Consumer Price Index, also known as inflation, fell from 3.8% in June to 3.5% in the 12 months to July. That's some better news. Then we had the House of Representatives Economics Committee, which is an explosion of cost of living data. Our biggest bank, Commonwealth Bank CEO Matt Comyn, confirmed their customers are spending much more on essentials, far less on discretionary items, and savings are quickly being depleted. Then new research from Roy Morgan this week showed that more than 1.6 million mortgage holders were at risk of mortgage stress. And then Deloitte Access Economics published estimates that Australia has been in a retail recession for 18 months and predicted it's going to be brutal for the retail market from now until Christmas. Michael, what was your biggest story?
Yeah, there was plenty on cost of living, wasn't there? The other big one this week, I thought, was the government releasing its long-awaited white paper into the domestic aviation industry. 56 initiatives intended to improve the traveller experience, enhance competition, assist the industry towards a more sustainable future. Airlines will have to show cause why flights have been delayed or cancelled. The government's promised to lower the barrier for entry for newcomers. There's going to be a new independent aviation industry ombudsman scheme, a charter of customer rights. Even the government's own travel policies are going to be overhauled. Qantas currently gets more than 80% of domestic flight spending from politicians and judges and the like. Even though it's more expensive, that is going to change. Overall, this is huge because it's going to create a blueprint for the aviation industry through to 2050. It's sorely needed. A quick little side note as well, Adam, Qantas reported its full year results this week, delivering a $1.25 billion profit, down 28% from the record result in 2023. Qantas new CEO, Vanessa Hudson, doing a huge amount of work at the moment still to restore that customer faith in the Qantas brand, costing about $230 million to do so. Lots happening in the aviation space this week. Most remarkable story. Can I suggest one for this?
Sure, Michael.
It's actually two parts, really. The most remarkable stories, plural, was the performance of two US behemoths who both made headlines on the same day. The first was chipmaker Nvidia, huge numbers. Nvidia's revenue came in at $30 billion in the second quarter, up 16% on the previous quarter, ahead of previous guidance, ahead of analyst expectations, but the company's share price still fell nearly 9% in the hours after the announcement. Despite exceeding all the expectations, the problem is investors just expect so much now from Nvidia. They expect their expectations to be blown away. The other story was a more traditional company making money in a more traditional way. Berkshire Hathaway, the company of legendary investor Warren Buffett. On the same day as we're talking about Nvidia, Berkshire Hathaway became the first US company outside the tech sector to surpass $1 trillion in market value, just in time for Warren Buffett's 94th birthday. Adam, what was your most remarkable story?
Well, Michael, I'm sticking with those remarkable numbers. My story was the big Australian in the boardroom, and that is BHP's results this week. They weren't just impressive, they were a masterclass in corporate strategy, a tale of two metals, and a remarkable glimpse into the future of mining. BHP may have missed out on an Anglo-American for now, but it is clearly still on the hunt for assets, and their future is copper. Iron ore, the unsung hero supporting our nation's wealth and tax coffers, raked in a whopping 71% of BHP's $20 billion underlying profit. It's the cash cow, the golden goose. But did BHP sing its praises? Not really. Instead, the spotlight was on copper.
Yeah, it's a fascinating story, that one. Sleeper story. What did you find? What's kind of flying under the radar?
Well, Michael, do you give yourself the right to disconnect?
Probably not as much as I should.
Well, this is one to pay attention to. The new right to disconnect laws began this week, and Sean Aylmer wrote about this in our weekly Fear and Greed newsletter, and it's a massive sleeper story. On the surface, it might seem like just another workplace regulation, But let's dig a little deeper. It will not stop people working outside their allotted hours, but it will change workplaces because management and workers will have to consider and discuss what they think is reasonable. Australia is following nations including France, Spain, and Belgium in introducing the right to disconnect laws to protect workers. Employers now face fines of up to $93,000 for getting in touch with an employee for non-essential reasons outside of work hours. Michael, what did you have?
Look, mine, just a quick mention, really. Perhaps the golden era of Airbnb coming to an end. The tide turning a little bit on short stay accommodation in Victoria this week. The state government imposing a 7.5% levy on bookings for things like Airbnb. But we also saw some data that shows that about 208,000 holiday homes are listed for rent every month on average, the vast majority through Airbnb, but prices are fallen by 11%, while fewer than half of all short-term rentals around the country are occupied, with Melbourne and the Gold Coast among the weakest, and hotels are now performing better. There's more people staying in hotels than there were before. So it may be just a little bit of a shift in that space. Favourite story, Adam. Can I nominate one that might be our joint favourite story?
Oh, you can, Michael, and I do agree.
It is an absolutely whopping diamond that was discovered. The second largest diamond ever discovered. It was found in Botswana. This thing's an absolute beast of a gem. 2,492 carats, second only to the Cullinan diamond, which was dug up in South Africa in 1905. That one was a hefty 3,106 carats. It was cut up and used for the British royal family's crown jewels. This new one, it's still in one piece. For now, it is huge. It looks like a giant apple. Canadian company called Lucara discovered it at their mine using new X-ray technology. The stone is thought to be worth around $40 million US. When the find was announced, Lucara's share price jumped by about 40%. It is just an incredible story. If you haven't checked it out, go and Google Lucara diamond or something like that. The pictures are amazing.
What a find, Michael.
Yeah, absolutely. There we go. 5 minutes and pretty much everything you need to know in the world of business. Thank you, Adam.
Thank you, Michael.
We'll be back on Monday morning with the top 5 business stories in 5 minutes. Don't forget to hit follow and join us online on Instagram, TikTok, LinkedIn, Facebook and X. I'm Michael Thompson, and this is the Fast 5 Business News by Fear and Greed.